Yeah, that's what I do. Hello and welcome to the Low Carb Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Holly Jean, and I'm with my favorite one and only co-host today, Leah. Hi, Leah.
Thank you. That was so lovely. I'm feeling the love, Holly.
I know. Well, we haven't caught up in a while. So this is our monthly co-host episode. We have some stuff to catch up on.
We definitely do. It feels like we haven't spoke for ages as well. And we had a few records where it was just me or just you. And so we're bringing the team back together.
Yeah, we've been ships in the night. You have been busy. You were recently on the Women in Keto Summit. Want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a really fun little summit to be part of. Wasn't all just women speakers, but it was around women topics for women in keto. And yeah, I was talking about stress and the impact that it can have in one's life, which I'm sure most people can relate to. And it was a nice little, I caught some of the episodes, episodes of the summit, which were quite good. And I'm pretty sure they had an encore weekend, but you never know if you missed it. I'm pretty sure they always kind of bring out another encore every now and then. So stay tuned. We'll let you know.
Nice. Okay. Well, if we can find something, is there a way that we can share? I know you shared your episode, but do you have to either have the encore or like purchase a ticket to have that?
Yeah, I think with the encore, you need to sign up to the actual summit. And I think maybe the best way for people would be to sign up to the emailing list, which I did send an email out to the list.
So, okay. Yeah. I bet that was probably really good. And I think that on the show, having questions having to do with women and hormones and keto, like those are the things that always come up. And so I'm sure that was full of awesome information. I'll have to check it out. And then we had on the show, the host of the Women in Keto Summit, right? Rosanna Smith.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So she was, that was back in episode 474. So Rosanna came on and we had a great chat. So she's the host of it. She went around and interviewed everybody. That was a big task. And she was saying when I spoke to her, she just learned so much information from all the different speakers that she was implementing back in her practice and on her as well. So yeah, and she was really interesting to talk to. She came into keto really late into the game. Like her son was interested in it, and she thought she would just do it with him, and he ended up like thinking, it wasn't really for him, but she actually had really great success, and that kind of sent her into the whole world of keto and then going on to host the summit. So yeah, it was really good little chat to her about all different things to look out for women who are interested in starting keto and starting later in life as well. Like, so it doesn't mean that keto is necessarily for the younger people. You can start it at any time if it's interesting to you. And for her, it really helped with back pain.
Keto is for everyone.
That's right.
Okay, so you've been busy holding down the fort here on the podcast. While I was out, I did some traveling. I went back to California we have someone in the family getting married, so we had some wedding festivities. But otherwise, I've just been so busy on the homestead. I think I shared last month or the month before that we finally got our chickens that I've been
tell us about these chickens
to get. I've been waiting a year. Actually, I feel like I've been waiting my whole life to get chickens, but since we moved, I was waiting. We moved last spring. We've been here a year already this month, so I've officially been an Okie for a year now. And we did get our chickens finally this spring, and so my husband and I just spent the weekend. Well, I did not help build the chicken coop. My husband just spent the weekend building our new coop. The chickens are outside now. They're finally big enough to be out of their little brooder. So I wake up in the morning and I go out and sit with my chickens, and I feel like a real country bumpkin now. We have the garden going. So
Yeah, well,
It's great.
these chickens, I can't believe you got them from from hatchlings, is that right? You got them from
Yes, they were 4 days old when we
4
got
days
them.
old, yeah. And they're so cute when they're little, but then they go through that awkward phase, don't they? They're
Oh
so
yeah,
ugly.
like teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the chicken teenagers. I just picture them being like human teenagers where they're just awkward and pimply. Like when they like
Yeah.
have like they still have their like cute baby feathers, but then they're getting in their big feathers, so they're fuzzy but feathery.
Yeah.
Very awkward.
We've always got them when they're probably more full grown. That's when we got ours. So I didn't go through that awkward phase. So I was watching your chicken journey and I was like, oh, I'm glad I missed that phase and just got them when they're a bit older. So
Yeah.
when are yours going to start laying? Do you think still a little way off?
You know, I have not been doing like chicken studies really like I should. I think they start laying around 6 months, and they are only 2 going on 3 months old now.
Oh.
So they're still just literally a teenager. They just cost money and they produce nothing.
And and you definitely didn't have any roosters in that bunch.
No, but we need a rooster because the roosters will protect the hens
Mm.
from predators. They'll alert the chickens and the humans of any predators that are nearby, and they will actually fight off predators. So having a rooster is good. Um, I've actually been talking to someone on like our local marketplace trying to get a rooster that's about the same age as ours. I was hoping one of our unsexed chicks would be a rooster, but I don't think so. So I'm trying to get one around the same age so we can still kind of raise it with being handled and being familiar with us so he doesn't attack the kids when they go outside.
What kind of predators do you have in your area?
What kind of what? Oh, predators.
Mm.
We have hawks, owls, mountain lions,
Mountain lions.
foxes. I think we have
Probably
all
just
sorts of things.
domestic animals as well, like cats and
Dogs.
Yeah,
You
dogs.
know, so many people's like dogs get out and eat the chickens. My dog has been good because he's been around them since they were little. My neighbors to the right of me, they have chickens and a dog, and their dog is okay with the chickens for the most part. But then I have some wild card dogs next door that don't even like people, but they're pretty well fenced up. But if they were to ever get out, we might have a situation. And then they're putting in a development behind us. And right now we have just like, we have fencing, but a dog or any kind of animal could easily get through it. So we need to secure our perimeter a little bit better for when that development goes in behind us. So any neighborhood dogs that might get out of the yard or off the trail don't come in and kill my baby birds.
Mm. So much to think about, isn't there?
So much. And you think, oh, getting chickens just so simple. And like chickens don't cost very much. They're turning into quite the expensive hobby.
Yeah. But then I guess once the eggs start laying, you'll get the rewards. So
Yeah. I mean, but honestly, here you could buy, like, I have a guy down the street and around the corner that sells a dozen eggs from his chickens for $4. Like, I can get pastured eggs fresh from the coop for $4. So,
and I don't know
like,
about this when you get the rooster, you're gonna have these early morning wake ups. So that's not gonna be fun.
well, already my neighbor next door, I hear her rooster Kenny every morning too. So, but I'm an early riser, you know, I'm
Yeah.
always up early anyways. And it makes it feel more country when I wake up and I hear the roosters outside.
Or you could just get an alpaca. They're pretty good at protecting chickens.
Thank you, Leah. I'm so glad you said that. I, in fact, need 3 alpacas. Husband, husband, I need 3 because they are social animals and they recommend getting them in threes. And they won't destroy your lawn or your grass like cows.
And they're good with the
Have
kids
they
too.
have soft feet.
You can put them on their little leads and walk them around down the street and
they're
stuff.
so cute. They're so cute. And then I could shear them and I could use their wool and I can knit them sweaters from their own wool.
Yeah.
But that could be another episode.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're definitely leading the lifestyle. And if anyone's listening and they want to move to Oklahoma, they should get in contact with you as well, because you are killing it in the real estate game and making everyone move to Oklahoma.
It's been, it's been so wonderful because there are so many people, like the last couple of years have just really made people like think about what really matters in life, and people want to slow down and slower pace and to be more self-sufficient, and Oklahoma is where it's at. So I have two really sweet families moving here this month, and it's just been really nice to be able to help people reach their dreams that the same way I have, of like escaping the city and having that different life in the country. So it's been very rewarding.
Yeah, sounds great. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, we better recap these other episodes.
Let's get back on task here.
Yeah. So, so we talked about the Women in Keto Summit with Rosanna Smith. And then the next episode after that was episode 475 with Dr. Luann Brizendine. And I love this chat. I'm so sorry that you missed it, Holly, because you would have loved it as well. We were talking about just like it's the upgrade, you know, like, so it's really a nice way of explaining menopause and perimenopause, which she calls the transition. So we talked a lot about the transition, all the different things that you can go through, like different symptoms and ways to kind of make it more pleasant, I guess, in lots of ways, and actually enjoy the experience rather than being an experience that one should be afraid of. And she didn't want to discount any things that, you know, happen during that period, because, you know, women can go through a lot during that period, but just giving ways to make it more accessible in your mindset, more accessible in the signs and symptoms that you're going through and those kind of things. So I really enjoyed it. So she talked a lot about exercise and sleep and mindset and brain health, because she really focuses a lot on brain health as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, especially since that's kind of like the period in life that, you know, we're going through now. So I was kind of like very interested to hear what she had to say about it, but it definitely gave me a different perspective on looking forward rather than being afraid of it.
Yeah. I love that. I know, I'm so bummed I missed that one. Well, it's still saved in like my top go back to listen to, because I do go back and listen to the ones that I'm not on.
Yeah.
Or that I don't get to participate in. So, yeah. And then after that, we had 476, we had Catherine Arnston, and she was with the Energy Bits. And this was an interesting conversation because we talked about these algae tablets, which are spirulina and chlorella, and they're really they're little bits, because they are food. So they're not pills, they're not capsules, they're little bits of actual food that's been like dehydrated and condensed, and you get all your nutrients from there. So it's really appealing for people who are maybe not eating a lot of vegetables or are doing low carb or even like a carnivore type, and so they're not taking in those meals with more of those like high vegetable counts or something, but you can still get your nutrients there. And it was just really really interesting. She had a ton of information.
So much information. I think like we barely spoke 2 words the whole episode. She was just like blah, and like so much information and stuff I didn't know about algae at all. So algae, however you say it.
Algae. Yeah, no, it was a great episode. And Energy Bits is also giving 20% off for our listeners. So if you want to give those a try, you'll go to energybits.com and the code is low carb. You can save 20%. We'll link that up in the show notes as well. Are you ready to dive into our topic for today?
I am ready. You've found us an interesting article to discuss.
I did, and it's a little bit different. I mean, I know we've talked about mindset before and our internal dialogue and the stories that we tell ourselves. But I thought this article is really interesting because it is more of like a psychology or psychological approach to it, definitely more clinical approach. So this article is from the Epoch Times, I think that's how you pronounce it, and it's called How Your Sense of Free Will Affects Your Health. And when I first read the article title, I was thinking like your sense of free will, meaning just like the choices you have over the things you do. And the article is that, but it goes a lot deeper. So it's talking about how whether you feel you have control over the events in your life, or if you feel the things that are happening in life or the forces outside of your life are beyond your control, and how those two perspectives can impact the way you think about your health, the choices you make, if you were to have a diagnosis of something, how you respond to that, your rates of recovery. We'll dive into this. Leah, do you want to say anything?
No, you keep going. I think,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So as I was reading this, so they're talking about how people are said to have an internal locus of control. And so there's two things that you can either believe that you have the ability to navigate your own life, or if you are feeling, hold on, I just lost my okay, so you can have an internal locus of control, which means you have the feeling that you have control over what happens over your life. Or if you believe that your life is decided by factors outside of your control, you're considered to have an external locus of control. And so Leah and I were chatting a little bit before we started recording, and I was thinking this kind of just reminds me of like more layman's terms, whether you believe life is happening to you or for you. And I know we deal with these kinds of conversations and these kinds of mindsets when it comes with working with clients, because when we work with clients for changing habits and incorporating healthier habits, and maybe sometimes when we're not as perfect or we don't stay on plan, we have what, like, I call them excuses, and it could be an excuse of, oh, well, I had to work late, or I had a stressful day, and so I came home and ate a cupcake and a bottle of wine. And so that would be someone who, I don't know, is it really kind of just feels like personal responsibility? Like, is that really what this all just boils down to? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, but I think though, like with when I think about a lot of people these days, I really truly think they feel like their helplessness in this situation, that they don't even know that they're caught up in this spiral of the spiral of control, or whether they have control over things. And I think it's definitely being exacerbated more in the pandemic as well, because people feel like they don't have any control over whatever is happening there. And then, but from your perspective, like, and many other people, there's another whole nother side of it, people saying, no, you do have control and this is what you need to do, kind of thing. But there's still these, I guess, like the average person probably doesn't feel like they have any control or say in anything that's happening in their life. So that can perpetuate out into other areas as well. It was interesting when I was reading the bit about obesity, and it says that one area in which feelings of powerlessness are rampant is obesity. And many people carrying excess weight say they can't lose weight and that they're just born that way, or they're big boned. And I think like, maybe they're conditioned from birth that way, or conditioned from life to actually feel that way. So they really feel like they do not have any control over that. And it was almost like it was another person that was feeding them the food that they're putting into their mouth, not actually them, that self-awareness or realization that they were actually doing that themselves. So I just found that really interesting. And I can see maybe in certain areas that people do actually feel that way. It's like they honestly do not realize that they're doing particular things unless someone was to point it out to them, or they were to stop and have that self-reflection and turn inwards and look inside themselves to see what is happening.
And I guess a lot of it maybe goes down to like our patterns too. Like you mentioned, like if you were raised a certain way to cope with things a certain way, you don't even think of it as being not wrong's not the word, but maybe not as helpful to your situation, because it's what you've always known. And so you might not even be aware, like you said, that that's what it is. And maybe like even with like the sense of having to feel control, I know there's been studies, or I know I've read about food being a way to control things, especially like if you feel things in your life are beyond your control. Like let's just go like children whose parents are getting divorced or something, or there's trouble in the home, and those things are outside of their control. The things they can control are maybe what they're eating, how much they're eating, and how eating makes them feel. like, I know that when I eat this, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel safer. And I can't control those things, but I can control this.
Yeah. And that even goes the same with eating disorders as well, because that's like a form of control, the not eating or the
not eating. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it can definitely shape that pattern or behavior. In terms of like, you know, we were talking a bit, like, I was like, when I read this article, I guess I was doing a bit of self-reflection myself. And I was like, I don't know which category I fall into, because I feel like I fall into a bit of both. I feel like I have this external locus of control in terms of, I believe that I can't control everything that's happening externally outside to me, because some things just happen that way. But then I have this sense of control inside of me that I know that I can do the things that stop me from spiraling out of control, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so I would like to talk more to the person who wrote the article to find out about these kind of patterns that you're not one or the other. Maybe there's a blend of somewhere in between. Yeah.
I think there's definitely a blend, because I think it's human nature to understand that there are things going on outside in the world. There are forces that happen in life that are outside of our control. And so maybe that middle line or that balancing point is understanding that, but also being able to not let that affect or impact how you're feeling internally, like what your internal control is. There was one part here where it even talks about like women with breast cancer. So it talks about coping strategies. So it says patients who lacked an internal control, they felt powerless over their circumstances and they experienced greater depression. But however, women that had more of an internal sense of control, they're going to have better coping strategies and quality of life. And it's because they can say, all right, I've had cancer. This isn't happening to me. This is something that I can deal with, rather than feel like, oh, this happened to me, there's nothing I can do about it. But it's like, maybe it's more of like, maybe not rose-colored glasses, but just like saying, okay, this is a really crappy situation. I had nothing to do with being in this situation, but now that I'm in it, how can I make the best of it?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And then I can definitely see people going the other way and blaming everybody for the circumstances, or blaming whatever for the circumstances that they're in, and spiraling down into that. And I wonder if that again goes back to that mindset of how you were raised, or the conditions in your life that have led you to become that way, your beliefs, your subconscious beliefs, because that same scenario, it could be completely different in a different person, you know.
Right.
You know, they not every, you know, we probably feel like we would fight for our lives and we would do whatever we can and make the best out of the situation. And I know that, you know, probably, and I'm speaking for you as well, Holly, but we'd probably do our best to form a community and support people. But that's the type of way we were raised and go ahead. But then there's other people that, given that same circumstance, would just probably give in and say, I don't have any choices. This is my life now, kind of thing, or not life. Yeah.
You know, this article really didn't go into, I have a cat on my mouse here. That's kind of funny, on my mouse. The article really didn't go into whether or not if there's things you could do to shift from one to the other.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I would think that there is. Like, I know we talk about these things when we're working with clients. Like, that's part of being a coach, is to help people think of things from a different situation, like to become a better thinker, right? And so sometimes we tell ourselves these stories, and like, let's say I told myself I'm going to go to the gym today, but I don't have time in the morning, but I promised myself I'm going to go to the gym, but the only time I can go is at the end of the day. Well, the end of the day is here, and now I'm tired. So I'm going to tell myself, well, I've had a really long day. I'm tired. I just want to go to bed. That may be true, but there's also more truth to that, because it's like, okay, I'm tired and I want to go to bed, but am I really going to go to bed? Probably not. I'm probably going to putter around the house. I'm probably going to scroll social
Scroll.
media or
Yeah.
watch TV or something. So the truth is, I'll still probably be up for another 2 hours and I could go to the gym. And it's not that just because I'm tired, it's because I don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's becoming a better thinker and talking yourself through those things. It's like, okay, yeah, I could blame a long day. I can blame being at work all for more hours than I had planned, but really the decision is mine. And
Yeah.
I'm using excuses. I'm using those outside factors or forces as an excuse to give myself an out for doing what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
So there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way where you can shift.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I wanted to bring up the faith part in it as well, because that's something that's big for you. You believe in an external locus factor of faith, where I wasn't raised with that external factor. So,
Yeah.
so I was,
I think that definitely plays a big role.
Yeah, you have something to believe in outside, but in a way that's almost like forces are out of your control, because you do believe in there's another force out there that controls your existence.
Yep.
So I wonder how that then plays in your internal focus of control as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely think that plays a role because I believe in a God that is for me and not against me. I believe in a God that has plans to prosper us and not harm us. And so, yeah, I think a lot of my optimism and my internal outlook comes from the fact knowing that even though my circumstances or life might not look good, it's always going to lead to something good. And I can always be thankful. Like I always know that all my needs will be provided according to his wills and wishes, and that he is working for me and not against me.
Yeah.
And so I think once you have like that belief, like of course that's going to also give you a stronger internal belief and not put so much focus or emphasis on those external factors.
Yeah, where I was raised in a house where there was no belief in a God or another power. So whatever happened to you happened to you because that was what your choices and circumstances you were making. So and I wonder if that plays a big role in people's decisions and outcomes in life as well, based in this article. So
yeah.
But for me,
I think
I was going to say, for me, I didn't really think too much about this until much later in life. And, and in my yoga journey, it's more of I turn inwards to reflect on different circumstances and things that are happening. And I don't always, so I guess that's where my internal control comes in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this article. I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack in it. I think it's worth a read, or I think it's even worth like asking yourself those questions of why do I behave this way? How do I act in certain situations? And maybe why? Like, is it because these are beliefs that I have from my upbringing? Are they beliefs that I have from my religion? Are they beliefs that I have just based on life experience? I think anyone who's trying to make changes in their life and maybe having trouble sticking to things, or maybe their journey's not quite going as they want it to, or they find themselves repeating certain patterns or getting stuck in certain behaviors that they no longer want to engage in. I think these are really great questions to ask.
Yeah, definitely. And the words that you're using, have a look at the words that you use around those different circumstances. Like when something happens, when you're faced with a difficult decision or something's happening in your life, are you saying that this is happening to you or for a reason, or, is this happening for you? So
yeah. So we will link this article up in the show notes if you want to give it a read and learn about these internal and external locus of control.
And it's not locust, it's locus.
Locus, yeah.
And we should let listeners know that this is like behind a subscription wall, but it's a free one as well. So like if you want to grab the article, you do have to put an email address in for that. So just warning, if anyone doesn't want to do that, that's your choice. Is it happening to you or for you to read that article?
All right. Well, that is the end of today's episode. Our theme music is created by Andrew Bowden, and production services are by Kevin Kennedy Spain of Disc of Light Media. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week.